Do you ever experience a rapid heartbeat, excessive sweating, feelings of helplessness, difficult concentrating, or even an occasional panic attack while taking a test? You might be suffering from test anxiety. Many college students experience higher than normal levels of anxiety due to the academic demands of their studies. In fact, anxiety has surpassed depression as the most common mental health diagnosis in college students. Test anxiety, a prevalent type of anxiety in the student population, is actually a subset of what is known as state anxiety, which is the acute reaction associated with a particular situation that is perceived threatening. Literature advocates that test anxiety negatively affects academic performance in college students due to its cognitive interference and the worry it causes. One strategy that has been found to relieve anxiety is music. Music has brought a wide range of benefits, from aiding the development and growth of premature infants to treating patients with dementia. It has also been found to lead to enhanced cognitive functions such as memory. With the increased prevalence of anxiety in college students, it is important that research continues in this area in an attempt to find beneficial remedies. Therefore, I have created this quasi-experimental study to investigate the effects of music on test anxiety and memory in college students. The participants in this study included 92 undergraduate students, 73 of which were females and 19 males, ranging from ages 18 and younger to 22 and older. These students, comprised of a variety of majors, were recruited from the Introduction to Psychology subject pool, as well as upper-level psychology courses at Birmingham Southern College. The majority of the participants were Caucasian, while the remaining participants were African American, Hispanic, and of another ethnicity. Prior to participation, the participants were informed of the basic procedures of the online study, but to minimize potential bias, they were not given information about the specific music manipulation nor the hypotheses under investigation. A web-based questionnaire comprised of 61 questions and estimated to take about 30 minutes was designed using SurveyMonkey. The questionnaire consisted of demographic questions, questions about the students' study habits regarding music, the West Side Test Anxiety Scale, the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, Form Y1, study material, and a test. The score that a participant received on the West Side Test Anxiety Questionnaire served as a self-report measure of their general test anxiety. Similarly, their scores on the STAI served as a self-report measure of their current level of state anxiety. Several studies have confirmed that both the West Side Test Anxiety Scale and STAI are instruments that can validly measure test anxiety and state anxiety. The study material and corresponding test addressed short-term memory. The study material included 25 random words, which served as a simulation for study material that they might review before a test in one of their courses. The subsequent test included an open-ended question that simply asked the participants to recall as many of the 25 words as possible in the provided text box. The questionnaire was sent out via email and advertised on the online SONA psychological research system. Participation was voluntary and had no relation to the students' curricular activity. The participants were provided with an electronic informed consent form embedded in the beginning of the questionnaire that presented information about the procedures of the study and ensured that their anonymity was guaranteed. After consenting to participation in the study, the participants were first asked demographic questions. The participants then self-assigned themselves to one of two conditions, music and non-music, by responding to whether or not they listened to music while doing homework and/or studying for an exam. Those who responded yes were then asked to explain why and indicate how often they do so via a 5-point Likert scale. Next, all participants took the West Side Test Anxiety Scale. They were presented with 10 statements and asked to indicate the level in which the statements apply to them on a 5-point Likert scale. This test anxiety scale served as a baseline measure of test anxiety for each participant. The participants were then asked to study the provided list of 25 words for only 2 minutes. They were guided to perform such tasks either while listening to their music of preference, if they typically listen to music while studying 50% of the time or more, or in silence if they typically listen to music less than 50% of the time. After studying the words, the participants took Form Y1 of the STAI. They were presented with 20 statements and were asked to indicate their level of agreement for each on a 4-point Likert scale. This provided a measurement of each participant's state anxiety while studying the words. The participants were then asked to recall as many of the 25 words as they could under the same instructed conditions as when they were studying. Lastly, the participants took the STAI once again, but this time responded to the 20 statements based on how they were feeling while taking the test. Instructing them to take the STAI twice allowed investigation of their state anxiety level while studying compared to while taking the test. The data obtained from this study was analyzed using the statistical software platform SPSS. For each analysis, the factors were music and gender. Independent samples t-tests were conducted to compare the test anxiety levels, memory for words, and state anxiety levels in music or gender conditions. Two-way ANOVA tests were conducted to see if there was an interaction between the music and gender conditions. Over the 2-week period, a total of 92 students responded to our questionnaire, 50 of which were assigned to the music group and 40 to the non-music group. The statistical analysis revealed that there was not a statistical difference in the West Side Test Anxiety Scale scores for the music and non-music conditions. On the other hand, the test anxiety scores were significantly higher for the females than for the males. Wait, what was that?
The test anxiety scores were significantly higher for the females than for the males.
We'll have to get back to that. The two-way ANOVA revealed that there was no significant interaction between the music and gender conditions on the test anxiety scores. The memory for each participant was quantified based on the number of correct words that they recalled during the memory test. Our analysis revealed that there was no statistical difference in the memory for the music and non-music conditions. Similarly, there was no significant difference found in the memory for the males and females. Furthermore, we found no significant interaction between the music and gender conditions on the participants' memory. After studying the 25 words, the state anxiety of each participant was quantified based on their STAI scores. There was no statistical difference between the STAI scores for the music and non-music conditions while studying. In contrast, the females had significantly higher STAI scores than the males while studying. But no significant interaction was found between the music and gender conditions on their state anxiety while studying. Similar results were found for the participants' state anxiety while taking the memory test. There was no significant difference in their STAI scores for the music and non-music conditions, but the females displayed significantly higher scores while taking the test. The ANOVA revealed that there was no significant interaction between the music and gender on STAI scores while testing. Given the absence of statistical significance, the results of this study did not support the hypothesized impact of music on anxiety and memory. Although those who listened to music while studying exhibited slightly higher test anxiety compared to those that don't listen to music, these findings weren't statistically significant. When asked why they listened to music while studying, a majority of the responses were that music provides background noise and helps them stay focused. Studies have shown that music is often used as a coping mechanism to reduce stress in adolescents and university students, which could explain these results. Regarding the gender findings, the results suggest that females exhibit greater test anxiety than males. Interesting. Females do have a higher prevalence rate for anxiety disorders, which has been speculated to be caused by biological disparities such as hormonal differences. These findings are consistent with studies that have investigated the gender gap in test anxiety. Our hypothesized impact of music on memory was also not supported due to the lack of significant data. We predicted that the music group would exhibit increased memory by recalling more correct words than the non-music group. Although not significant, we observed a slightly higher mean number of correct words recalled under the non-music condition compared to the music condition. This is an interesting result given that most of the music group participants stated that music helps them focus. This is also inconsistent with studies that have found music listening to lead to enhanced cognitive performance. On the other hand, no significant gender difference was observed for memory, which was to be expected. In regard to the state anxiety measures, the music conditions seemed to have no effect on the participants' state anxiety while studying the words nor while taking the memory test. These results didn't support our hypothesis, which proposed that music would provide a sense of comfort and relaxation during the study and test portions of the questionnaire. Studies have shown that music can significantly reduce state anxiety levels of individuals in their work environment. Therefore, future replications of this current study should be done to see if these same effects apply to a testing environment. Lastly, it was observed that females exhibit higher state anxiety levels while studying and taking a test. This finding is consistent with our previous finding for test anxiety levels, as well as studies involving graduate students. Limitations of this study first included not having a large enough sample size. Perhaps if we had a much larger sample size with more males, we might have found significant findings, given that the anxiety means of the music group was higher than the means for the non-music group. Similarly, the majority of the participants in the sample were Caucasian and female, which may limit the generalizability of the gender findings in this study. Secondly, we didn't get significant results for the test anxiety and state anxiety levels between the music and non-music group. Given that the participants took the STAI twice, the response the second time may have been biased by the recollection of how they responded the first time. Building on that limitation, significant results weren't attained for the memory data. The participants studied and took the test online in their own time without supervision. Therefore, they might have not felt the normal pressures associated with taking a course exam. If the tests were taken in a controlled environment, we may have gotten significant results for memory. Despite these limitations, the significant gender findings in this study could guide further studies. Future studies should adopt this methodology and perform it in a controlled setting with a large sample size and an even distribution of gender and race in an attempt to get significant results. Hi everyone! I had a lot of fun completing this research and creating this animation video. This experiment was originally supposed to take place in person within a classroom or a lab, but due to our current circumstances, it had to be transitioned to an online study. With the help of my lovely sponsor, Dr. Lynn Trench, we were able to successfully create an online version of my original proposal that still maintained a majority of the originally proposed characteristics of the experiment. In spite of the limitations that came with this research, I think we still obtained some pretty good, insightful data. Our sample size wasn't ideally large enough, but given the circumstances on campus, we were still able to get more participants than I expected. I was still able to reach out to the intro professors and visit their classes to encourage the students to participate in my study. Overall, it was a great learning experience, and I would do it again if I could. I want to give a special thank you to my sponsor, Dr. Trench, for everything you have done for me throughout this project and everything you have helped me with. And thank you to the Honors Committee for approving my research. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending my presentation. Have a blessed day.